Sarah Quinn here on Mix 94.1. September 25th, the Hall of Fame Comic-Con is going to be coming to the Canton Civic Center. The day's going to be packed with vendors and costumes and guest artists and creators who shaped pop culture and the characters we know and love. And today I am absolutely over the moon that I get to speak with one of those guests. She also just happens to be one of my voiceover idols. Don't get too much of a big head there. Veronica Taylor.
Hi.
Veronica, oh my God, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today.
Gosh, thank you. I'm thrilled.
So you've brought life to so many beloved characters that resonate with so many people across the world, myself included. And I got to know, when you get that script in your hand, what is the first thing you do to start to build your characters and figure out the voice and cadence that you want to bring to the role?
Yeah, that's a great question. Sometimes you're lucky enough to see a picture, so you know what you're doing for an audition, let's say. So once you get cast, you have the picture in mind, and then maybe the description that they've given you. But I really just read through and see how the character speaks, obviously what they're saying, and what the other people say about them. Or it's basic, acting for any scene that you do.
Yeah.
Or, so then you just build it from there. And obviously the director will have some say so that you balance your sound off of the other characters. So it definitely is not something that I make up all on my own, but it's a group effort.
Right. That's one thing that I love about that is it's almost like you have to play detective with your own character at first.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it, because you have to pick out all the clues so that you can put them together and decide who this person really is, and then how you place them in your body, how do they move. Even though you're only doing voice, they still have to have a full body behind that voice.
Mm-hmm. And it's that character that you bring to the role, and which leads me to my next question. So it's not going to come as any surprise to you probably that my two favorites growing up was Ash Ketchum from Pokemon,
Right?
Stop,
Yeah.
and Sailor Pluto. Which would you feel resonated the most with you and your own personal character and what you bring to the table and what you enjoy doing?
Definitely Ash Ketchum. I got to play him for 8 years, and it was great to be inside his head. But Ash is every man. He's a classic character. We travel through the show via Ash. So I would say he resonated the most with me in terms of seeking out adventure, playing sports, all of that kind of stuff. Other than that, there's something, a little bit of me in every show that I've ever worked on, I think. But Ash is my favorite, hands down.
So from what I've seen and experienced for providing the voiceover for video games, and it calls for a lot of different takes, lots of different takes, sound effects, weird noises, especially for characters when they're battling and things.
Yeah.
What is the weirdest direction you've ever been given or received?
The most common is do it better. That's all you get. Like, can you do that better? I don't know. Like you said, there's so many weird things that you have to do. The luxury of dubbing is that you can see it on screen. So, when Ash would be at the top of a hill and fall down, you could watch him and falling and going, and you could see all of that. And that was the most fun to do. And I've trained in stage combat, so I got to use all of that in just my voice work as well. So I guess the directions aren't really that strange. It's just what you actually have to do that's strange.
So what have you been trained in stage combat? That is such a cool fact.
Yeah, I'm a recommended stage combatant, which means I'm at a high level. I haven't done a lot of stage combat in a while, but I've only done it vocally. But we stay like hand to hand, sword, rapier, quarterstaff, all of that stuff.
That is way too cool. You just got like 20% cooler in my book.
Yeah, because I went to grad school. I went to college and grad school for acting, and that was part of our curriculum in grad school.
That's so cool. Where did you go?
I went to Catholic U undergrad and Brandeis for grad school.
That's That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry, I went to an acting school in New York City. We
Uh-huh.
didn't have to do stage combat though. We did some
Oh,
weird
I
dance
see.
things.
Right, we
We
did a lot
did,
of that.
yeah,
Breathing. Yes.
breathing.
Yes, a lot of breathing.
Lot of Meisner technique and a lot of just weird dance things that I would always fall asleep in too because it starts on the floor.
Right.
So,
I know, we laid on the floor for a long time.
yeah.
Mhm. But that breath control you use all the time. Now you don't have to think about it. It's just part of you. So that's a great thing.
That's
Um,
very true.
yeah, yeah. I guess actually I hadn't thought about this before, but I have a master's in acting, so I guess I am a master of some sort. So who knew? Wow, who would know?
That is, yes. Oh my god. He never became a master Pokemon trainer, but the woman
Not
behind
yet.
the voice.
That's
Yes,
right.
that's
He's a
right.
master. Yeah,
That's
I never
right.
thought about that. But I think ultimately, the Ash's journey is to set goals and try to achieve them, and that's basically our journey because
Mm.
we all set out to achieve something, and oftentimes the path winds around, and you may not even end up achieving the goal that you set out to do, but you achieve so much more along the way. So I think that journey that Ash takes teaches us how to be better on our journeys
No,
in
that
a
makes it
sense.
you make a very good point there because it's you never stop growing or honing your craft
That's right.
or going
Right.
for new heights.
Right.
If you could be part of, because you've done so much in your career already, is there a dream project still that you hope to one day be a part of, or something that you've not yet gotten to explore yet, or a next chapter for yourself that you're like, I would really like to get into this?
Yeah, the thing is, as an actor, you just wanna keep working, really. I mean, there's so many things that I audition for that I don't get,
Hmm.
that pretty much I just wanna work on everything. So, I certainly stopped doing live performing when
Hmm.
my daughter was born, simply because most of my auditions went towards voice work, and I didn't have the time to go to rehearsal and then be in the theater all night, that kind of thing.
Right.
So, I certainly would like to get back to TV and film, which I left in a sense to do more voice work. But, yeah, my goal is to just keep working. And so every day I audition and I work on something else and I just keep going one step at a time.
So with now auditioning and still working and the kind of world we live in right now.
Right now, I'm just like in a box, actually.
Yeah, for those that are listening on the radio, it's go to mix941.com. You can see it's a
Yep.
great make home studio, by the way. A wonderful
Yeah.
comfort. You get that from Pottery Barn. It looks real nice.
No, this is actually IKEA.
Is
So,
it really?
yes, it is. Yeah, yeah. My equipment is not IKEA, but these comforters are. They are pretty great.
Hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, it keeps the sound out. I'm in New York right now, so it does keep the sound out here.
Oh,
For
wonderful.
This is very makeshift.
Are you there for a con or something going on, or an
Yeah,
audition?
I was at Boston Fan Expo, and
Yeah.
now I am here for a couple of days, and my family's in New York, and then I'm going back to Los Angeles. So I'm all around. It's amazing that conventions are starting to open up again. I mean, with
Hmm.
all of the COVID safety precautions in place, thankfully, there's masks are required everywhere.
Hmm.
Some are requiring vaccination. All of that just really to keep people safe. And I would say
Absolutely.
the biggest thing is for kids to be coming back to conventions, we cannot be too careful because if
Absolutely.
they can't get vaccinated, we have to do our best to stay safe. I test before I go. I have double mask, all of that stuff.
Absolutely.
And
It's
I'm vaccinated, so that's a good thing too.
I am as well. It's
Yeah,
it's our social responsibility, I believe, to protect those that cannot protect themselves,
absolutely.
especially during this time
Yeah,
that we're, living.
yeah,
But how have things now changed with the industry um, because of COVID, and also like for the past 10 years, technology evolved so quickly.
right.
And now we're all working from home and we're all just trying to make things work, and so many productions were put on hold.
Yeah.
So how has that changed? How have you had to adapt as a voice actor?
Well, I moved to Los Angeles from New York 7 years ago,
Hmm.
and at that time, I put in a studio at home so I could keep working with friends and clients from New York. But luckily, I was set to be able to work during the pandemic. But then it was up to producers to get set up to work with people from home. So it was a bit slow going in the beginning. So
Mhm.
we're talking March to July-ish. But now I think in terms of what has changed, we all are all mostly at home.
Mm.
And so it's a weirdly lonely place. And
Yeah.
even though I don't know about you, but I definitely find it more difficult to accomplish things being at home than I did when I was really busy and going places to work. There's just so much more work that you
Yeah.
have to do. So before I could just go do my session and come home. I do a lot of audiobooks, so I would, prep my book, I would go there, then I would just have to speak. But now I'm mostly doing the engineering, and then sometimes the engineering is um virtual, so
Mhm.
someone is popping in to do that, but it's all I don't know, it's stressful in a different way, but at the same time, so lucky that we can all stay connected and keep working, and just keep producing wonderful things, whatever
Yeah.
that is, cartoons, video games, audiobooks, all of that. But luckily, technology, gosh, 7 years ago, we were just figuring it out, and now everyone is just popping in. Certainly, Zoom wasn't a big deal, but
Yeah.
Skyping in and all of that was still around. How many brand names can we mention? Zoom,
Sketch.
Skype, whatever.
By the way, this
StreamYard.
could be sponsored if you'd like.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, I'm up for it. I don't know that anyone would want to see the inside of my booth for this. I'm gonna have to hang some other drapery or something behind this, so maybe, pretend like I'm in Central Park or
We'll,
something.
we'll
Some
send you
kind of
some. We'll send you some station banners.
that's what I need. Yeah, exactly.
You mentioned that you are a master at stage combat. That you have
Yeah.
trained.
Okay.
Do you have any sort of things that you collect, like weapons? Because I asked because right
Oh, yeah.
next to me is
Wow.
I do. I collect swords.
Wow.
Is there anything you collect, even if it's not weapons, but maybe we share a connection here?
I don't have any weapons, but I do always have a pair of scissors with me. You can do a lot with that. Um, but I collect rocks, which could be used
Oh.
as a weapon. Apparently my daughter and I were in the airport in Ireland, and a rock we were carrying with us in our bag was taken away because they said you could use it as a sling
Oh
to
my
like wrap up and swing at someone, I guess. So I guess we share that in it could be used as a weapon, but we collect rocks. We bring rocks home. We have boxes of rocks. My parents do the same thing. It's really kooky, but it's stay connected to places through rocks.
I love that. I know, I love that. As a kid, I
Mhm.
used to collect rocks, and
Yeah.
Ohio has this weird thing where people paint rocks and hide them in public.
Right, we've done that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, I think that's adorable. I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
that.
We have a lot of rocks. Actually, when we moved, we had to get movers to come in, and they can pack up your stuff in one day and just zoop it away, which is
Mhm.
pretty amazing. But they just kept looking at our rocks like, "Why are you doing this?"
Listen, there are weirder things you could
That's
collect.
true. That is true. Very
That's
true,
great.
actually. Yeah, and I do have quite a few Pikachus. I haven't bought any of them, I think maybe one, but, we have a lot that people have given us.
Alright,
So I have those.
Is Pikachu your favorite out of
Totally, totally. I spent a lot of time with Pikachu.
Yes, you
Happily
did!
so. Yeah. Yeah, definitely my favorite.
Wonderful. Well, I have one more question and then
Okay,
I'll let you go.
okay.
And that is, and I'm sure you've heard this many times, what advice would you give to those that want to break out into the industry, but aren't sure where to start and are just dreaming of one day being able to voice their favorite characters or be a part of this world?
I think, I think it's really important to follow your dreams. It's really important to actually sit and daydream, to journal out what you wanna do, what you wanna be, um, and how you want to bring those talents out into the world. That's number 1, the most important thing. The second thing is, I personally, it's hard to do anything when you don't have training, when you
Mm,
don't work on your craft. So someone who wants to be an artist doesn't just sit down to paint, unless you get paint by number, which is a pretty cool thing. But you still have to actually open the paints and do it. If you want to be an actor, you need to take some classes. You need to work on it, whether it's a workshop with a couple of people, or you're in school for that, or even doing school plays. You really need to work on your craft. So that's my number one thing. Voice acting is acting. You are called upon to create the scenes, figure out what your character, what they want in the scene, what their objective is, who they are, all of that stuff. That's what you learn in your scene work. And that's what you have to do in a matter of seconds when you're in a session. So you're called, like, I use my training every single day in everything that I do. So I would say get as much training as you can. And then ultimately, you want to make a demo. And that demo has an example of some of your voices. Maybe it's a minute to a minute and a half, 2 minutes long, that showcases what you do best. And even that is a good thing to work with someone on. So you may get a cool sound in your bathroom, but you want to be in a better sound with a good soundscape, really, in a room that like this. I mean, there's comforters on the wall, but it does bring the sound in to make it a little more professional. And then you want to have a good mic, all of that stuff, but a director to bring out some choices that you might not have made on your own. Anyway, you have your demo, then you network. Even network can be working in a movie theater and you start meeting people, or, working in jobs where there are like-minded people who can challenge you to be your best. So that's my advice: training, get a demo, and network. So
All of
how do you
that
start out?
is
Yeah, and also backstage has auditions, different things. Your friends may need something, do a project for them, all of that stuff. There's no one way to get involved. Reading out loud at the library to kids when you get some kids' books, that's a great way to work on your narration, to build characters, switch voices, all of that stuff.
that is probably the best advice that I have ever heard.
That's how
No,
to do it, man. Whatever it is that you want to do, you got to jump in and do it as often as you can. And even if it's your side job, you have to really commit to it. Because
absolutely.
there's acting is really anything that you freelance, anything in the arts is really hard, because there's no definite upward trajectory in terms of making a career, making money to pay your rent, all of that. But if you have the drive and you have the dream, you need to follow through on it. What else can you do?
I'm going to tear up a little bit. Well, thank you so much, Veronica,
Oh,
for
you're
joining
welcome.
me.
You are awesome, Sarah. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Really amazing.
You can come out and meet Veronica Taylor September 25th at the Hall of Fame Comic-Con. It'll be at the Canton Civic Center. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. I can't wait. And if anyone has ideas on what I should see while I'm in the area, please send me that on Twitter or Instagram and let me know, because my daughter and I will be in town and we want to do a little sightseeing. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
You heard her,
Thank you.
folks. Go at her.
All right. Thanks, you guys. Thank you so much, Sarah. See you at Hall of Fame.